Hi, and welcome to our podcast. I'm your host, Howard Drukarsh. I've been a successful realtor in Canada's largest market, Toronto, for over 30 years. And in the latter part of my career, I co-founded Canada's largest independent brokerage, Right at Home Realty, with a roster of over 5,800 agents and growing. In 2020, I retired to start this podcast, and it's been a remarkable opportunity to meet highly successful and fascinating guests, to find out about their real estate careers, and get their insight into our business. Today's guest is Nicole Plaxen. Nicole is the Executive Vice President of Luxury Sales on the Sally Forster team, which is at the Compass Brokerage in Beverly Hills. And I don't want to waste any time because I know how busy Nicole is. So Nicole, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Oh, listen, when we first connected and I looked at your bio, it was mind-boggling, and I'm just thrilled that you've set aside some time. So I'm gonna kind of start with some of those things. Um, the numbers are huge. You work on this team with Sally Forster Jones, and the numbers you've been involved in over 2,500 transactions, including the sales stratospheric. I almost couldn't get that out, of the Spelling Manor for $85 million, and the Minecraft creator Markus Persson's Trousdale estate for $70 million. Those are huge numbers. The Sally Forster Group has done over $9 billion in sales, and I think as a realtor you can see why this caught my attention. Those are huge numbers. And obviously you don't get there unless you've got the skills, you've got a reputation, and I know that your client list includes professional athletes and high net worth individuals from all around the globe. So it's a real treat to have you as a guest. So I want to get to our questions because this will help people really get to know you a little better. Okay.
Sure.
So the thing that I've always found when we do these podcasts is, people are interested in the background of very successful people. And I like to start with the one that always interests me is, were there entrepreneurs in your family?
Yes, absolutely. My mom.
Okay.
She was at a very young age. She owned many restaurants. She did event catering. She also had a real estate license. She was flipping houses. So I was with her every step of the way. I would be with her at the restaurants till 2, 3 in the morning. I remember some weekends and as a kid, and I would have to sleep in the office until the events were completed. And she is a workhorse. She's a hustler, and I took after her work ethic.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And what's great about an entrepreneurial parent is, in this business, and because you've seen all kinds of people come and go, you think from the outside it's not that hard, but you don't understand the emotions and you don't understand the work ethic that's needed to be successful. And I think if you have a parent who you just live that lifestyle, you've got a huge advantage when you get into this business. And obviously it worked for you.
Yeah, I think that's why Sally and I clicked so well, because she also has that very similar drive and ambition and enthusiasm as my mother, and so it was a very natural connection between Sally and I.
And probably to that point, she because she is successful, probably saw in you somebody that she wanted to mentor, or she saw what would help her grow and help you grow, right? I mean, it's just a phenomenal connection. And her reputation in the business is mind-boggling, and yours the same way. So that's why I said we're so delighted to have you here, because I can't even imagine how busy you are right now. The other part that I find interesting when we interview guests is nobody really gets into real estate out of high school, not that many. So what were you doing prior to getting your license?
I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
So after high school, I was just, I started working at 15. So just again, who I am, it's in my make. I wanted to hustle. So I was managing salons. I got my esthetician license, and I was going to open up salons. And when I was 20, my mom was a title rep at the time and called me, and she said, "Quit your job. I want you to be my assistant." And I was like, okay, why not? And I became a title rep. We moved to Orange County. which was back then, like 2005-ish, around there, 2004 possibly. And it was like the mecca of mortgages and subprime. And so I became a title rep for a short period of time. And that segued into my becoming an account executive for two different subprime lenders. And that was really my introduction into the financial aspect and mortgages. And we did very well up until about 2007.
So for our Canadian viewers, the mortgage business runs a little differently. How does a title rep fit into a transaction?
It's more agent relations.
Okay. So on closing, here closings are done mostly by lawyers filing the appropriate documents. In your marketplace, does the agent attend closing or the lawyers? How does that work?
Right. The agents run most of the transaction with an escrow company and with a title company and a mortgage lender if they're getting financing.
So when you were doing that job, you were meeting agents as well?
I was primarily all agent relationships.
Oh, so that gave you real insight into this
Right.
business.
Into the entire back end.
Really, the good and the bad, I'm sure.
Right.
But
And mostly loan broker relationships.
okay, so cool. Good. I mean, great way to understand the financing side, which is so critical anyway, right?
It was so critical, and it gave invaluable insight to underwriting and how to underwrite and what to look for in pre-qualifying a buyer.
Mm.
Granted, it was subprime, so all you needed was a pulse to get a loan,
Mm-hmm.
but regardless, it was invaluable knowledge.
And I think when you moved into the world of being a real estate agent, understanding financing is a skill. It's an art, right? It's not just numbers. It's understanding all the things that go along with getting the financing that you need for your client from the best possible source and with the best possible terms. And I think having worked, I mean, my opinion is having worked in that industry, nobody can bamboozle you into this is a great deal.
Right. No, it definitely helped.
Good. So, and I think I understand this. I was just kind of going over the same point about you got into real estate because your mother thought it's time, right?
Mhm.
Basically. And how long did you work for her?
A few years.
Okay. And what was
Few
that like?
years, and then I got into subprime mortgage for a couple of years, and then the crash happened in 2007, and I left 1 week before it all came crashing down.
Wow. What a nightmare that was. Really?
And I was 24,
Mm-hmm.
and I went onto Craigslist, which is like it's like a
We have the same. Yeah.
job board. Okay, so I don't know if you have it there.
Yeah.
And I was in Orange County. I wanted to come back to Los Angeles. That's where I'm from. And I saw real estate agent hiring transaction coordinator. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm a pretty quick study, so
Mhm.
I can learn these forms. I was licensed, and I was like, and mortgage is going down the drain right now. So I'll be an agent's assistant and her transaction coordinator. And I went in one interview and hired the same day.
No surprise. I mean,
Yeah.
that
That was 15 years ago.
well, but in this business or in every business, when you meet anybody that you're looking to work with, energy is key. Energy,
Yeah.
passion, and a sense of smarts, right? Whether it's real estate
Yeah.
or any other field. And obviously, your background gave you all of that. So I'm not surprised. I want to
Yeah,
talk.
and she took a chance on me being so young and not having any prior transaction coordinator experience, meaning I didn't have the experience with paperwork and disclosures and everything else. But nor did I even know how to write a purchase agreement at that time, a contract. But she taught me everything. She took her time.
Well, you know what? It's these things as an entrepreneur, and you're on a team, so sometimes those investments pay off really well if you happen to pick the right person. And you don't
They
know.
do.
It's like a marriage. You don't know till you've been working with someone, right?
Right.
I want to find out a little.
She spent a lot of time. I mean, she came from a teaching background before real estate, so
Ah,
she used to. We have like this thing where, like, for the whole first year of my working for her, she used to grade every paper with a red pen, And she like loved getting this red pen out of her drawer, and she would take and mark up my papers and mark up every single thing I did in the contract and tell me what to write. And her husband's an attorney, so she's really savvy and just legal jargon and everything. And so I learned so much just in my first year alone.
Invaluable, because
Yes.
because you can get into brokerages. There are all kinds, and there's all kinds of training, but to get
Mhm.
one-on-one from somebody who's really smart to train you,
Right.
fantastic, really,
Yeah.
and something you can share with others. Should you be in that position. I want to ask more about the team, the Sally Forster Jones team.
Mhm.
Um, in the Beverly Hills marketplace, from what I've read, it's stellar, to use the best word I can come up with. What's it like working on that team? And also, let me just point out that in the introduction, I mentioned that you've recently become the executive vice president of luxury sales. So congratulations, you're on a
Thank you.
great team, and you're the executive vice president. Doesn't get much better. So what is it like working with her?
With Sally or
Y-
or
with Sally in
with
her
Sally.
team?
She's actually wonderful.
Hmm.
This is a very dog eats dog city, clearly.
Hmm.
And she's probably one of the most genuine, kind agents there is. Hard worker. I mean, she'll work harder than any of us. She's sending emails 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. She
Hmm.
sleeps maybe a few hours a night. But she has really big vision, big dreams. She takes so much pride in her work. She takes so much pride in the team that we've created. This is her baby.
Hmm.
And she truly loves what she does, and it shows. And she treats her staff incredibly well. And I mean, I wouldn't be here for 15 years if it wasn't for that.
Hmm. And much like in any market, there are brands, and obviously she's a brand that make it. Nothing's easy in this business. Sometimes I was going to say easier, but the brand probably makes it at the level that you trade in easier than coming in with a brand that people don't know. I mean,
Yeah. When I was 24, going on broker caravan out here, and people would look at me and be like, "Who are you? Who's this kid?"
yeah.
And the minute you mention whose team you're on, it's an automatic street credibility. And it's very important to be aligned with the right brand. Not every brand is created equal. A
Hmm.
lot of brands don't have a good reputation. So that's something that her and I both really align in, is holding that bar really high, because we want to not only be an amazing buyer's agent, seller's agent, but also an agent's agent, because so many agents, come to me for properties and vice versa. And we get so many deals done just because of our relationships with other agents. And it's really important to us that we've upheld our reputation.
It's the same I mean, I can talk about my experience in the Toronto market. Your reputation's everything.
Right.
Because agents will work with you if they like you, trust you, and they won't work with you if they don't trust you, right?
Absolutely.
So it's
And
everything.
it's proven me in every market, and whether it's seller's market, a buyer's market, when we were dealing with 20 other competitive offers and I had a buyer, it's my relationship with that listing agent that got those deals done, that gave me guidance because they trusted me. They trusted that we would see it through, that we'd be a delight to work with. And that's why for me, and having been a transaction coordinator prior to this for 10 years, I learned to I really become like the best friend of the agent, because it becomes a team effort, regardless of who your client is. In the end, it takes a village, and it's a team effort to see a deal through. So much goes on behind the scenes that our buyers and sellers don't know about.
Right. And what the reputation, and I know from there are always agents in every marketplace that do very well, but nobody wants to deal with them, right? Or they
Right.
don't trust them. And
We
and
have tons of those. We have a ton.
well,
I'm just like dreading their call, but I'm like, oh,
well,
but I still try to do it. I still try to see the good in everybody. I
well,
think Sally and I are very aligned in that way, that we always try to see the good, and at least somehow try to be the peacemaker, and where can we help move this along?
well, to kind of elaborate on that thought, you are in Beverly Hills.
Right.
You're not talking about a condo in Topeka, Kansas, or in Toronto. I mean, I want to really get to, because I remember when the sale of the estate of the $75 million estate happened. There was a TV show all about the Spelling Manor, and it was I don't know if you recall back then that they did the special show.
Of course, yeah. I walked that the property many times.
Okay.
And many blisters. It was such a huge property to walk. It's like you needed special shoes. You couldn't wear heels, and I did, and I had many blisters because of it.
And I think it was his wife that was the host of the show. I'm pretty sure she was. And I
And
remember a couple of, I mean, it's phenomenal. 75 million, even in a let's say a major market like Toronto, or excuse me, 85 million.
Mhm.
There are multi-million-dollar properties. I don't know how many would come close to that. But what I recall most of the show, outside of it's like jaw-dropping, because I was in real estate watching this, was the two gift wrapping rooms that
Yeah.
she had.
They were real.
Really.
Yeah.
So an introduction at that level, very, very few agents get to do that, right? I mean,
Mhm.
what a phenomenal experience it had to be a part, and to be a part of presentation of an offer, acceptance of an offer. Can't imagine it goes that smoothly at 85 million, but maybe it does. Is
It
it
was
different?
one of the first at that time, was the highest price sale ever at that time.
Uh-huh.
So that really set the precedence for future sales in the Los Angeles area. It was a phenomenal property. I mean, the grounds were. It felt like you were in Italy or somewhere. I mean, the grounds were outstanding.
So was this in Beverly Hills?
It was in Holmby Hills.
Oh,
It's right
Holland.
next door. Yeah.
Right.
So it was like right next to the Playboy Mansion. It was like there's a whole block over there of really incredible trophy estates.
Yeah. I remember when, in my old, nowhere near 75, but multi-million-dollar sales, and, and I had very successful business people that I dealt with. But I always found that the more successful people fall into one or two categories: complete jerks or the nicest people you'll ever meet. And I guess if you're trading at that level, their expectation must be pretty high of people representing them.
Of the client or the agent?
The clients, yeah. I mean, their expectation.
Yes, they definitely have high expectations.
Right.
But this is what we do. This is, it wasn't our first rodeo. So we
Right.
understood the expectation of clients. We jumped through hoops. We work holidays, nights, weekends. We travel. That's what comes with the territory.
Right.
And nothing new to us.
So the Markus Persson's Trousdale estate at 70 million. How much after that did that come about, and how did it come about?
That was one of my favorite sales, actually. It was really fun. It was one of those surprise ones. The last 2 weeks of the year, it was like our Christmas gift.
Wow.
And we had an introduction to a business manager, put it together. The other side was great. It's two agents that we do a lot of business with, and it was a super quick closing. I was able to get all the inspectors in. It was a fabulous property. I mean, they had this candy wall that was, now it's become a little bit of a trend, but the developer at the time, Bruce Mikowski, did this candy wall that was bigger than any concession stand that you've ever seen in a movie theater or arcade or anywhere. It was really wild. It was fun. It was a really fun property. Well, and he was a great buyer. I mean, he was so lovely to work with.
Isn't that the nicest thing? When
I mean, everybody was.
When you're working with people where it doesn't feel like work, this has got to be the greatest business in the world, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
you have to make it fun, and you have to find common ground and connection. That's really why we're all here is because we love connecting, and that's something that and residential real estate is emotional, so it's really about connection.
And it must generate a lot of referral business when people, I mean, at any level of real estate, when they're happy with the experience they've had with the agent, they want to tell people, right? And so a lot of the business over the years that Sally's had with her team, and now I'm sure with you, comes because you did such a great job.
Yeah, we have I forget the percentage, but a large amount is repeat referral business.
And the longer, this is so cool about this business, the first few years, very hard for most people. But the longer you're in it, the easier it gets, because the more referrals you get. So you're spending
right?
less time prospecting, more time doing sales, right?
We still prospect a lot. We also have a lot of new business,
Ah,
but we also have a large amount of repeat referrals,
do you do much in new construction?
a lot.
Okay. And is there a lot going on in Beverly Hills or LA right now?
Yeah, there's a significant amount. So it's so funny because just this week alone the market's in just a lot of flux right now,
Uh-huh.
and we've seen a little. It's just been very interesting the past month. But this week, there's been a huge uptick in international buyers. I think just because people are traveling
Mm,
here,
mm-hmm.
and high-end buyers. So my 20 and up is on fire. I've
Wow.
literally shown every single day this week. And
Wow.
I've been showing a lot of my mid-construction properties. So I've been covered in dirt and everything, which is fine. But
Yeah.
these are magnificent estates that are being built that we usually pre-sell for a lot of our clients.
Wow.
A
So
lot of, especially a lot of the 20 million and up, they're very private and they don't like to buy properties that are on the market. So we end up doing a lot of pre-sales.
that's fascinating. Let me stop in the middle of this podcast because if I was a viewer and I was looking for an agent in Beverly Hills, I'd be calling you. So if people want to get a hold of you, we'll go on. This isn't the end of the podcast, but what's the best way for someone to get a hold of you?
You can always reach out to me directly, or Instagram is a great resource, or you can email me, Nicole, Nicole at sfjgroup.com.
Okay, great. Because I didn't want to miss that opportunity. I
Thank
mean,
you.
this is a global business podcast, so you never know. Um, Everybody has dealt with the podcast. Everyone's dealt with the pandemic differently. I mean, I know what it was like in Canada and certainly in this market. How did it affect you in your market?
Wow. Um, the first week the sky was falling. I mean, we didn't know if we had jobs anymore. It was very chaotic. I'm sure everywhere was, but LA especially, I feel like really got hit hard. And but within a few weeks, and most deals canceled. Either they either stayed in escrow and they renegotiated for a significant amount less
Right.
because they thought the sky was falling, the world was going to end, everything else. But many escrows canceled the first week. But within a few weeks, things started resurfacing,
Hmm.
and I think that was an opportunity where really wealthy people saw opportunity for deals, and
Mm-hmm.
we started making deals like left and right, and
Wow.
sellers wanted to sell and buyers wanted to buy, and then within 6-7 months homeowners wanted to take advantage of the interest rates, and everyone's working from home, and so and they were sick of looking at their 2-bedroom apartment, and then they wanted to upgrade and go into a house. So there was so much movement, and it ended up becoming our most successful year ever at that point. And which was just it was wild.
What happened here, and this is we've had some guests who are developers. What happened here is, same panic. What are we going to do? We can't show them, and
Right.
then everybody went into virtual showings, which
We had to do a few, but not many. We were able to we had to fill out a form, like a PED form, which is like a basically saying you don't have COVID. Everybody had
right.
masks on. You had to make appointments, and,
Sure.
we figured it out. It was done the right way. We didn't have public opens.
Yeah, and that was the same sort of rules that were here, and but I know in pre-construction they also had a phenomenal year because, like all the things you said, people were looking to get
Right.
out of small spaces. They didn't have to leave their house to buy a property, so they had a great year in pre-construction as well. Uh,
Yeah.
i-
It
in
was.
ter-
It ended up being a really, really successful year.
which you would have never expected when the word pandemic
Yeah.
came out. In terms of technology, and this business of real estate is going through a lot of change with technology. Are there any particular, and this is for the realtors that watch, are there any particular tools that you use in technology that you really like, and why do you use the ones you use?
Yeah, we have on as part of Compass, where we're given access to the Compass tools, a CRM, something called Compass Collections, which is it's kind of like a Pinterest for all of the properties. So, and you could also set it up on auto notify. So it takes the place of the MLS basically.
Mm-hmm.
and it keeps everything in a file. So it's so easy if I file. So each property that comes on, I can add to collection. It automatically sends to the client. They can write notes. We can have a little chat back and forth. I can request showings from the app, and it's all, able to be done on my phone, which is great because most of my business is done on my phone. And it's probably one of the most invaluable tools that any brokerage. We've been at 3 or 4 brokerages: Coldwell Banker, John Arrow, Pacific Union acquired, and then Compass. So this is our 4th brokerage, and this is by far, I don't think any other brokerage has anything close to this technology.
What's interesting, and it's the same in this marketplace, is the younger agents expect technology, right? They like, I mean, they're not interested in using the phone as a phone. They are interested in electronic communication. And the agents who don't relate to that are the ones that get left behind. I mean, it sounds like, you've got a built-in benefit because they've already developed it for you, and all you have to do is use it.
I think, honestly, I think anything you do that you're consistent with is going to pay off in some regard. So one of my agents is younger. He prefers still cold calling, and he door knocks every single day. And he has his phone book, and writes everything down. Doesn't take advantage of any of the technology. You know what? He sells 50, 60 million a year, and he's so content and he's so happy, and he doesn't want to change a thing. I have others that really take advantage of it. I mean, it's entirely up to you.
Yeah, I think that's
People
exactly.
take to it more than others.
I think that's how you become successful. Is you find the way to look for business that feels
Right.
comfortable, right? If
Right.
somebody tells you, do cold calling, you hate it, you won't be successful. If you want a door knock, because that's just like this person you mentioned, and they like doing it, you'll do well because people will see you there doing something they like, right?
Right. I'm still on the phone all the time. I'm on the phone, text, and email. I usually do it all simultaneously at the same time just because we have to multitask. But we're on the phone every single day. Sally still prospects. She still blocks out. She time blocks probably an hour a day just prospecting her business managers, her referral sources, her CPAs, etc.
Wow, I mean, what a great mentor. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like just great. I want to ask you a couple of things that I guess are the kind of the personal part of your life. What's the greatest advice that anyone ever gave you?
I think one thing that really stuck with me, it was probably, I don't know, 5 years into transaction management for Sally. And we were really busy by this point. Mind you, we were maybe doing 200 a year. Last year we did 760. I mean, we've grown every single year. So, and I mean, in sales volume, 760 million. And so I was 5 years in, I was managing all the transactions. And for me, I'm the type of person that just give me something to do. I do the whole thing myself, beginning to end. I don't rely on anyone. I like to be in control of it. It's just my personality. And I was negotiating a request for repair, and it was something that really got under my skin, and the other agent got under my skin, and I had it up to here, and our business coach was in at that time, Steve Shull, and man, I don't know, it's probably 28, 29 years old. And I go in there, I interrupt the meeting, and I say, I can't deal with this anymore. This lady's driving me nuts. She's a horrible agent. Like, the deal's going to blow up. What are we going to do? And I didn't have these meltdowns very often because Sally's very cool, calm, and like, she's very composed, and she really taught me how to be composed. But it was just one of those days, and Steve looked at me and he goes, Nicole, do not engage. It's just a transaction. Nobody's dying.
Good advice.
And it clicked. Something landed, and I was like, do not engage. Like, oh my gosh, you mean I could do this and not emotionally engage? Like, I can do this and not be completely drained by the end of the day and like wanting to run over everyone. Like, I'm like, this is amazing. And it opened up a whole new world for me, because before that, it's agents are very defensive, and people are very protective over their commissions and over everything and getting deals done. And you get what you give out. So I had a lot of adversarial, relationships and experiences, because you take on so much responsibility. And for some reason that day, the stars were aligned. It landed, and I changed everything since then. I look at things very differently now, and it really helped define me as a person in negotiating and representing. I'm able to be more collected, and I'm able to represent my clients better because of it. Because I don't engage a lot. Most agents are very emotional. So if I can be the composed one and say, hey, we're in this together. Let's get through this together. Let's brainstorm. Let's go through this scenario. How do you think your client's going to respond to this? Talking about those things first. I mean, it takes the weight off the other agent's shoulders, and then you're really able to have a collaborative experience.
Great advice, because
it was invaluable.
Because to the point of everybody's defensive about their own client, and if you got two people defensive, nothing's going to happen. You got to get one person has to drag the other person over to the line and recognize you're in it together, right? Because if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen for either one.
Right.
I probably know the answer, but what is it you like about being a real estate agent? Setting aside that, the financial part's pretty decent.
I mean, yeah, your guess is probably right. For me, it's really twofold, because I sell, but I also run the sales for the team. So I'm very much involved in our agents' growth and development, and I have been for many years. So on one hand, it's so rewarding for me to see my agents thriving and succeeding and taking risks and doing new things and putting deals together. I just love it. And I love the whole collaborative process of like matching people with properties and it's just really exciting for me. I get chills even talking about it. I love collaborating with my agents and just being creative. And on the selling side of it, it's really just the connections. It's the new people you meet. Every day I meet someone new. I see how they live. I imagine myself in their shoes. You just make fun.
Mm-hmm.
You make it really fun, and it's connection. Again, it's just everything's relationship. We're all created for relationship. We're all here to help be a resource to one another. So it's something that I just really love doing that.
That's great.
My way of doing that's through real estate.
It's a great way to either consciously or unconsciously teach new people how to be successful on your team, right?
Yeah,
because they're going to learn from you.
We're very conscious. I like that you brought that up. We're a very conscious group.
Mm-hmm.
I try to instill any self-awareness, some consciousness, meditating, mindfulness, all of this together. I'm a California girl, I have to remember that. So this is all our lingo. Okay. Manifesting, all of that. Right. This is what we do, but it's really important to have some type of faith or spiritual essence in what you're doing to help balance you, because this is an all-consuming business. When someone says they want to do real estate part-time, I'm like, are you sure? Like, that doesn't exist. It's all-consuming.
If you want to be successful, it's the way you and Sally work. It's 7/24, 365. But you've got to like it, or you won't last.
Right.
It's that simple.
That's the only way. Otherwise, we're just, what are we here for?
Right. So on the other end of your career, what has been your biggest challenge, and what did you learn from it?
You know what? That's a good question.
Thank you.
Our growth. We grew really fast.
Mm-hmm.
We grew so fast that everybody burnt out on staff. And there was, I can't remember what year it was, maybe 2015, 2016. I forget. It was one year that we jumped up dramatically, but it was learning that, because we didn't most teams aren't set up as a company. They're set up as just, you have your lead alpha agent, you have junior agents, you have assistants, etc. But we grew so much, and so many people wanted to be on our team. We were up to like 32 people at one point, and we had, I don't know, 8 or 9 staff members, and it just became so much, and we didn't have a real system in place that could have been, that is as smooth as it is today. So there, and these are good problems to have. I mean, and we were so busy, so successful that it was too challenging. But I think that's where a lot of teams run into that issue, is that they grow and they don't realize how much how many growing pains there are in becoming a top team. And we're very selective with who we bring on. For us, it has to be a very want a connection with the person. They have to align with our morals, with everything that we stand for. They have to align with our brand. And there has to be cohesiveness. We have to want to be able to go out and get a drink or hang out with somebody or whatever. Like we want to, it becomes a family.
Mm-hmm.
It really becomes a family. So there was just so many dynamics and personalities and everything. And that was a challenge for me because I didn't come from, again, I never had gone through, college. I didn't have a college degree to learn how to, become like a chief operating officer, to learn how to run a business. And we were all at the same time so busy. We had clients who had needs and we had to tend to. So it was all consuming. As you can imagine, you started a brokerage, you understand how it went. We don't even have a brokerage. We just have a team within a broker, but we operate like our own brokerage because we now have hired the right people. We have an amazing president who completely whipped us into shape. And we now function like a real company where most teams don't. They usually just function with, again, the alpha agent, juniors, assistants. And now it's a very different experience. Now we're just like a well-oiled machine.
When you were talking about the early days, even if you had your MBA and you had experience, nobody can tell you what's going to happen when you have to manage growth. We had the same thing in our company. We started with no agents. So we just had this idea that was a disruptive idea for the business.
Yeah.
And then as we grew and we had like a couple of years, even no one was joining, then all of a sudden they're coming out of the woodwork to join us once we had credibility. And managing that, just like you said, managing that is wild, right?
Yeah.
It's wild. But if you do a good job, you grow to the next level. So,
and we did,
yeah.
and we got through COVID together. We got through a lot, and it actually brought us all so much closer because that increased instead of just having a Monday morning meeting like we did for years. Now we did Monday, Wednesday, Friday Zoom meetings. We had so many. We really shared experiences because my experience became someone else's experience, became the next person's experience. So we really came together, and that combined with now someone who can run systems and actually put together a platform of in a whole back end is really what changed our organizational practices and procedures, and it just became so much more streamlined.
Oh, great. Listen, I always tell people I'll try to hold it to 30 minutes. I'm sure you've already got people lined up, calls and emails. But I just want to ask this, if you'd like. Are there any projects that you're working on that you'd like to talk about to our viewers? Anything coming up, or do you want to keep those?
I'm like the off-market queen hub. So I'm like the hub for the off-market. So
Okay.
It's like, just come to me with anything you need. Anybody in LA and surrounding areas, if you have clients moving here and you need someone to help support you, we'll always take care of you as well. And there's so many, we have so many off markets that I can't even, new constructions, I wouldn't be able to even get them all out right now. You just have to call me and reach out to me.
Okay, great way to end it. And I hope they do. So Nicole, thank you so much. We've been trying to put this together for many months, and I really appreciate that you stayed with it until you had time. Going to wish you all the best, and it sounds like you're on a great roll, and love to have you back in the future if you're interested.
Yes, this is great. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. All the best.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We'd like to thank Nicole Plaxen and you for joining us today. And if you liked our podcast, please like, comment, and subscribe on your favorite podcast network or on our YouTube channel. And to get in touch with us, you can do it one of two ways: on our website, rewithhd.com, or by email, info@rewithhd.com. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.